So let me tell you something about the persuasion failure and what not to do really when if you're a dude, you're feeling your natural desires. In other words, you want to bang some hot chick and you happen to work together with a sad person. Number one is usually job romances is a bad thing for so many reasons. I mean, let's say that you're a guy and you want to hit on your colleague, and you think that she's attractive, you want to bang her, and so on. And what if she says no? What happens to the work environment between you two if you hit on your colleague, your female colleague, and she says no? I mean, do you think it's pleasant to show up for work the very next day? Well, of course not. It's very, very tense and very, very uncomfortable for so many reasons. I don't even need to go through all of the reasons. However, let's talk about something else. Here's what not to do when you're sexually attracted by your colleague. You don't grab her by her private parts, because that's exactly what some dude was convicted of doing in the court recently. Now, the details escape me a little bit, but briefly, here's what happened. This 60-year-old dude, I mean, that's kind of gross in of itself, happened to chastise and flirt with a female colleague. And whilst doing so, he went on to suggest that they should have sex together. And so, what happens when you're flirting with some younger than you person, and you want to suggest that you two go and have sex together, and she doesn't want to do it? Well, you become a creep. And so here's what this guy's doing. So he actually walks over, or I forget the precise setting, but the dude was, let me think. The dude was actually suggesting that she enter into some sort of a locker or cupboard or some sort of small cabinet, like a tiny little room. And inside that little room, he grabbed her by her private parts, I think squeezed her tits, and said something along the lines of, "Oh, your blank smells so good, I want it." And then invited her to come over to his place later that afternoon or later that evening. I mean, I think actually, and in the courts, this guy said that, "Oh no, I wasn't touching her private parts. I was actually just touching her with the flat of my hand with my palm on her area below her belly button," which is so dumb. Why would you even touch somebody below the belly button? That literally makes no sense. I mean, unless you're some sort of a doctor, some sort of a nurse who's doing some sort of a medical assessment of some patient, then there's no need for you to actually physically touch another human being below their belly button. It's so dumb. And so, and obviously the phrase, "your blank smells so good." There's hardly anything left to say here, except this is another example of how to not use persuasion when your natural desires, when biology is present. In other words, if you want to bang a hot girl, you walk over to her, but you got to know your place. You got to know your circumstances. If you're 60, and I think this woman was in her 30s or maybe even late 20s, then you can't be, well, I mean, you can. There's nothing criminal in walking over. If you're a 60-year-old man and you're walking over and you're hitting on a 20-something-year-old girl, there's nothing criminal about that. But there is something inappropriate about it. So you need to learn the social codes. You need to learn how to read the social codes. And this is really the assessment. This is really the main point of this of this video. Don't do persuasion that way, and certainly don't do persuasion saying all of your direct thoughts. Don't say everything that you're thinking about, because it is gross and it is perverse, and not everyone likes it. And so that'll be the persuasion lesson of the day. If you want to learn more about persuasion, then get subscribed to my email list. The link to do so is in the episode description wherever you're watching it or listening to this, and I'll see you there.